Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to BoatLife Live, and we're up on our next chat. We have Joe Moseley and Dave Haze talking all about stand-up paddleboards. So, Dave, welcome to the stage.
Thank you for having me. So yeah, nomadic paddler.
You are the nomadic paddler.
That is me. It's something I came up with a few years ago. Actually, I mean, my main journey, I've gone from a former prisoner to a SUP adventurer, and I came up with the idea nomadic paddler whilst I was sitting in my 6x4 prison cell, just trying to move away from that old life and reconnect myself.
Hang on a minute, Dave. You said prison cell.
Prison cell, yes.
Explain,
yes.
please.
Yes, I served a prison sentence, 2 prison sentences, where I'd sort of lost touch of who I was and my meaning in life. And something that I really loved and adored growing up was adventure. So I thought to myself, when I come out, I need to reconnect with adventure. So after lockdown, one of the first adventures I did was carry this baby oak tree 50 kilometers from Poole Harbour all the way to the Isle of Wight. So I did it for Prince's Trust, and then I had to go and plant it over there, all trying to keep it all carbon free if I could. Yeah, and raise money for the Prince's Trust. It was amazing.
What a beautiful journey.
Yeah. So this one here, so this is Loch Awe. So when I was inside, I came up with the idea to paddleboard the 4 longest lakes in 4 consecutive days in an attempt to set 4 world records for the fastest time across each. So this was the first view I had of Loch Awe in Scotland, the longest loch in Scotland. And I came round and I saw it. The picture doesn't do it justice. I just looked at that, and the first thing I thought, like, that's massive. Like, how am I going to do that?
That's only one direction. If you look left, it's probably that as well.
I mean, that's probably a fifth of the lake you can see there. And I just look at it and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's big. This is going to be a tricky one. But then if you go on to the next one, as you can see, I successfully did it. And that was my first world record I ever achieved. So I did that. It was 40 kilometers, and I did it in 5 hours, 20 minutes. It was hard work, really hard.
Now tell me, where you came from. Have you come? You said you like adventure. When's the first time you stood on a paddleboard?
About 7 years before that. So I used to do a lot of surfing. Where I am in Poole Harbour, you just can't really surf that well, or especially around Bournemouth. So I took to a paddleboard, and I love the extra sense of freedom it brings. You know, that connection to the water, the connection with yourself. And for me, I'm on this journey of self-discovery, and paddleboarding is what helps me find myself. It teaches me who I am, gives me purpose in life, it gives me drive. And I just love paddleboarding, I love the water, and this is why I do these things. So this was lake number 2. So this is Lake Windermere. The views were unbelievable, absolutely amazing. But when I was traveling here, I'd just done Loch Awe. I had to travel 200 miles to Lake Windermere, and my camper van broke down. So I didn't get to Lake Windermere till about 12 o'clock at night, and I still didn't know if I was going to be able to paddleboard the lake and then get onto the next ones. But yeah, got onto Lake Windermere, and then 2 hours later, I managed to get my second world record, which was Lake Windermere.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 days, 2 records.
So do you ring Guinness Book of Records and they adjudicate, or how do you get these things through?
Yeah, so what you have to do, if you want to do a world record, you have to put the application in. You have to have a witness statement, so 2 at the beginning, 2 at the end. You have to then get it filmed and photoed when you come on the water, when you come off the water. And then if you're on the water for more than an hour, every hour you have to film for 2 minutes. And then all the GPS tracking you have to give them as well.
So it's not something you can get round. These are bona fide world records.
Bona fide world records, yes. Yeah.
Wow, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can I have a show of hands? Who's been on, intending, who likes the old paddleboard? There we go.
Nice, what I like to see.
And there's a few exhibitors here showing paddleboards here at BoatLife Live, so supporting the sport. So what was next? Now this isn't exactly flat, calm, tranquil. This is a bit choppy.
So this is Loch Ness in Northern Ireland. So this is one of the biggest lake I've been on, and I sort of mentally prepared myself for this. And when I was at Liverpool waiting to get the ferry, I spoke to the sweetest old lady I've come across, and she decided to tell me all the horror stories about Loch Ness. The changing weather systems, the beasts underneath, the water, like the waves that change. So when I was out in the middle, literally you could not see land anywhere around you. And I just remember this sweet old lady, everything she was telling me, and I just started panicking. But, I had all the right safety equipment, my buoyancy aid, VHF radio, my GPS tracker, so I knew I was safe. But then, yes, 5.5 hours later, got to the other end, and I managed to get my my third world record.
So this is looking like a pretty well-travelled flag right now.
Is
it the same flag?
Same flag, yes, yeah. I thought I had to bring it with me, just to get some good pictures like that.
It's fantastic. Is there anything that is any different to the paddleboard that you use? I don't know anything about stand-up paddleboarding.
Yeah, so this one is a rigid paddleboard. It's a 14-foot racer. And just if you're going long distance, you want to get the extra speed, then that's the best sort, not maybe fat sticks, but a 14-foot rigid racer are usually the best ones to go for.
And Joe, is it a similar board that you use?
No. No, I use a 12-foot and mine's inflatable. So she's called Grace, named after Grace Darling, and she packs down into like a big golf bag.
And do you sometimes need to get on a plane with all your kit? Or do you, you're going to have to?
I'm going to have to. Well,
yeah.
I did Southern Islands back in November, so I used an inflatable for that, but I got the ferry with that one. So yeah, so this...
There's a bit of Southern Island for you?
Yeah, this was after Loch Ness, so I thought I'd have to have a Guinness. I'm in Ireland, and I was drinking that Guinness, and why I've put that there is because I was drinking it, and in that moment was the proudest moment in my life. Just 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I'd been sitting in a prison cell, and I stood there with the most world records by any stand-up paddleboarder, and I thought to myself, at this moment, I can quit now. You know, I've got 3 world records, it's amazing. But I was thinking, no, I used to do that. I used to think like that. And it's like, let's carry on. I've set myself a task. Let's prove to myself I'm much more than my past, much more than my stakes. So I drank that Guinness. I had this fire in my belly, got on the ferry, and then I headed straight to North Wales onto Bala Lake. And like, it was just the most perfect conditions.
Looks like the lake was kind to you.
It was. It was unbelievable. It was like a mirror, the reflection. I could see the mountains.
And another world record.
That's it, the 4th one, 4 days, 4 world records. And I just sat at that lake and I just looked at the view, and it was one of the most amazing feelings ever. So proud of myself.
Now, you have a social following. I've seen your website. How important is it to speak to people online and connect with people?
It's, for me, I mean, I've got a message to tell. A lot of what I do is to raise money for the charities that I support, and I want to raise awareness around reform and rehabilitation as well. It's such a forgotten cause in this country. And I want to show people that your past, your mistakes, they don't define who you are, and with the right determination, you can achieve anything you want in life. And I want to show the power of adventure as well, which I know, you know, is something you're about. So this is the River Thames. So I did the River Thames, which I broke the world record by 10 hours on here. I didn't sleep for 38 hours. It was dark. It was about 2 in the morning. I remember getting through Windsor, starting getting very delirious, and I was getting these black spots in my eyes, and I started going into the bushes, and I was like, I've got to sleep. I've got to pull over here.
Dave, you are a machine. If you're breaking records by 10 hours.
Yeah, I just finished this, and the old Mark Horn, who had the record, sort of texted me near the end. It was like, congratulations is in order then, is it? I was like, I think so, mate. I think so.
Wow, congratulations.
And this is the last one. So this is a racer, but this is an inflatable racer, JP Australia. So this is Loch Corrib in Southern Ireland, outside of Galway. So this is my starting point. Again, it was a lovely day, but the moment I came out of that lake, that river, hit the lake, there were just clouds everywhere, fog, and I just couldn't see where I was going. So I had to keep going back to the GPS to get my location. And there's about 320 islands on that lake as well.
So the kit you have, obviously you've got a buoyancy aid on. You've got your board yourself. What other things? Obviously the paddle, use a carbon paddle, I'm assuming.
Yeah, carbon paddle, then my safety leash. I always have a dry bag, then I have water as well.
And you have water on your back?
Yeah.
Like a...
So I'm going to start getting a compass now, I think, after I've done that one, because you have to keep getting your phone out to find the GPS to track it. So I get a compass, get my point, and boom, get it done.
Any kit here in the show you like? Look around for some GPS action.
I'm gonna have to soon, yeah. Especially with Garmin. That's it. Yeah. That's what I'm going for.
Go and speak to the Garmin guys. And that's you finishing another one.
That's another one, yeah. And then also at the front, you have your GoPro at the front because you've got to do some recording as well.
Of course, you've got to have a GoPro.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
this, and a bit of sea stuff here.
Well, no,
it looks like Bournemouth.
This is, yeah. So this is just where I've just moved flat, and this is literally on my doorstep. So this is the new board. So next month I'm off to Scotland to do Loch Ness. So I started working with Water Rascal. And this is the board that they've made for me. So what we're going to do, we're going to auction this off afterwards, and we're going to give the money to the Jubilee Sailing Trust, who are based in Southampton.
That's fantastic. Now, you're an advocate for lots of different charities. Talk about the connection to mental health that you fly the flag for.
Yeah, so Adventure Therapy is one of the charities I'm doing it for, and they use the power of adventure to help people struggling with mental health, addiction, and just sort of lost in life. And that's something that really sort of is close to my heart. For me, adventure has changed my life. It's given me purpose. It's my tool for rehabilitation, my tool for change. So I want to help more people reconnect themselves with adventure, but it doesn't have to be paddleboarding the longest lake in the world or anything like that. It's just getting outside, go camping for a weekend, anything like that.
And how can people get involved and back you and help you and connect with you?
Yes.
Maybe get you along to speak at some of their
Either
events.
go on my websites, follow me on social media. But if I quickly point this one out, so this is my biggest challenge to date that I'm starting in May. So I'm going to be attempting 33 world records on 33 of the longest lakes in Europe on 66 days. So each dot is my route. So I've got to get around Europe in 66 days, and each dot's a world record, hopefully, in a new lake.
And do you have a team behind you to help you with this?
I've got my girlfriend down front's coming, and we're filming it as well, so we've got a film crew coming as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one.
That is such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for showing us what all the lakes and rivers and things that you've done, and congratulations on your world
Thank you very much.
Guinness Book of Records. And when do you head off for this one?
So starting Portugal, 9th of May, and then we're going to finish 66 days later in Holland.
So you're well in training at the moment.
Yes.
You're looking pretty fit. So
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Cheers.
Show us your guns. Joe, thank you so much, Dave. Everyone that we've spoken to so far this morning, what an inspiration.
Oh.
As you are, Joe. Come on.
Thank you.
So, Joe, tell us your story.
So my story sort of started in 2013 and by breaking down and crying in a supermarket. Overwhelmed, over-anxious.
Joe, we've all done that.
Yes, thank you.
You know we have.
I feel seen. And both my parents were going through chemotherapy. I was a single working mum trying to put food on the table, and also realized I was going through the early stages of the menopause. And so then at that point, a friend gave me an indoor rowing machine. When my mum died, I rowed a very long way from Macmillan to raise money. And then I just realized the power of movement and the power of movement outside. And I started, swimming, going back to swimming in the sea, bodyboarding, hiking. And then in 2016, I had my first paddleboard lesson, 24th of September 2016 on Derwent Water. And it literally, I'd injured my knee, and I had been just really down for the whole year that I'd injured my knee. And I wanted a new sport and something exciting that would strengthen my core but not impact my knee. Took up paddleboarding, and it changed my life.
So you decided that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Did the physio said, have you thought about paddleboarding, or where did the first word paddleboard
I
come
think
into
I
your
just,
vernacular?
I think I saw it on Instagram. Like literally, I would see all these pictures of 20-year-old women in bikinis, and I was like, I'd like to do that. And obviously, that's not really what it looks like in the UK most of the time. And so I talked to my sports massage guy, and he said, yeah, that it might help. So that was my very first lesson. There we are. Very nervous.
And what do you learn in a lesson? Balance,
really good
technique?
point. Yeah, it's really important.
Start off on your knees.
Absolutely. So I've just written a book, just in case I haven't mentioned that. I've just written a book, and my very biggest tip is to have a lesson, because you will learn safety skills, like Dave said, about your leash, about your buoyancy aid, how to stand up, how to get your balance, which way to hold your paddle, and just give you that confidence to know that you're setting out on the journey in the correct way. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've had a few setbacks in the last year of losing some stand-up paddleboarders.
Yeah.
And I know that I'll join the RYA and the RNLI in saying, please do paddleboard responsibly and get the lesson, get the right kit, life jacket, tell people where you're going, GPS.
All those things. Tell people where you're going.
The leash.
Tell them if you're going to be delayed, and tell them when you're back. I do paddle alone. If I hadn't paddled alone, I wouldn't have started paddleboarding. Nobody was paddleboarding back then that I knew. But I also make sure that if I'm going to be late, I say I'm going to be late. And when I get off the water, I say I'm off the water. So yeah, all the safety things, all the safety things.
Now you have a voice. You've written a book, and you're obviously featuring in magazines and articles.
Yeah.
And of course, you have an online presence as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I do. And it started with the fundraising for Macmillan when Mum died, and then it just continued. And I just I try to be very realistic. As I said earlier, people say my superpower is my ordinariness. I am a mum, I'm an empty nester, I'm really normal. I just do some really lovely things.
Well, Jo, we have got a lovely little trailer to an amazing film.
Thank you.
That was put together about your trip across Great Britain from one side to the other.
Yeah.
So we're just going to watch that. So please, if we're going to have the sound, we will enjoy this little trailer.
No sound.
There's some sound on this. James, we'll just start again. Just have a little, we'll just wait a little to get this sound. No, what was it like with a film crew, working with a film crew?
It was amazing. So there was just one filmmaker who found me on Instagram and said, Jo, would you like a filmmaker? And I was like, okay. And thought the filmmaker would be there for 2 days and would get really bored of me, and didn't get bored of me. And then we made a film, and then it's been shown at Kendal Mountain Film Festival, Keswick, Sheffield.
It's a great festival. If anyone gets a chance to go to that festival, it's really good.
Start again.
Let's have another go.
Am I ready? Yes and no.
Yeah, we're getting
and
some. Just needs a bit of volume. There we go.
Am I excited? Yes.
Enjoy.
Terrified? Yes. Grateful? Very.
Actually, we're just going to start that again now that we've got some volume.
So, am I ready? Yes and no, and everything in between. Am I excited? Yes. Terrified? Yes. Grateful? Very. Am I looking forward to it? Yeah. Will I sleep tonight? I hope so. I'm looking forward to just being on the water for so long, and it's really rare that you get to do that, to have 11 days just doing simple things. Literally eat, sleep, pick up litter, paddle, and probably tweet. I have made a mistake, okay. This has been extraordinary, and I've never done anything really brave. I've had bravery forced upon me. Feels like maybe I can do other brave things, or maybe just know that I'm brave.
Jo, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
And where can we watch that film?
So you can buy it or rent it online. Just put Brave Enough Vimeo and it'll come up on demand. So yeah, it was a lovely film. So Fripp made the film and we just put it together, and then there's a huge amount of the backstory as well about my mum and being a single mum, and the litter picking and why I did it, and a lot about mental health. And yeah, so it's lovely. It's a lovely film.
And I'm sure we already know the answer. Are you brave enough?
Yeah.
Of course it's yes.
We all are.
We all are, yeah. That's wonderful. I'm going to ask each of you the same question. Mm-hmm. There were some low moments in that. You've obviously tested yourselves to the extreme. How do you deal with those low moments?
I cry. And then I just remember how incredibly fortunate I am. You know, I was spending 11 days literally fulfilling a dream. So I kind of get it out my system, and then I remind myself I'm really grateful and I'm really fortunate, and then just take a big, deep breath and take it step by step. And also remembering my why. So I was raising money for the 2 Minute Beach Clean Foundation that encourages us to pick up litter, and the Wave Project, which is a surf therapy foundation. So when you remember your why, I'm trying to raise money to help young children and adults get surf therapy for their mental health, all my stuff fades into the background. So.
And Dave, can I ask, can you remember any specific times where things were pretty dark?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every time I do one of those records, I want to quit all the time. I have these demons in my head that are just telling me, but I just always go back to think where I was 2 years ago, sitting in that prison cell. That was the lowest point in my life, and I know I'm better than that, and I know I can beat that. So when I'm out on the water, I just sort of take myself back to that space. Like, I'm much better than that, and I can do this. I can get through anything.
And to bring it around, where there are lows, there must be highs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what was a particular high for you?
The River Thames, just getting to the end, and like, just the whole feeling. And when I look back at it, I forget all the bad times. I just remember the amazing times, the wildlife, the aloneness
and you
myself.
Anchor those and use them when you're... And Joe, what was about you for an absolute high?
Well, the end, as you can see, it was quite wet. And it had been raining most of the time, but then the last day it was really sunny. So I washed my hair and I put makeup on, and I thought I'm going to have this really Olympic moment. And in the end, it wasn't like that. It was pouring with rain, and then a rainbow came out. And when my mum was in hospital, she said, if you ever see a white feather, smell lavender, or see a rainbow, I'll be there. And a rainbow came out. And so it felt like she was there.
And you've written about all these things.
Actually, the book, last summer I was commissioned to travel around the country. So I went to 35 different places, from Loch Ness to the Lizard Peninsula to Wells to Lake District, and I wrote a guidebook to beautiful places to paddleboard in the country. And there's a little bit about my story, but it's mainly a guidebook, and I paddleboarded with some incredible people. It's the story of what we did, what we saw: dolphins, porpoises, jellyfish, and just the joy of paddleboarding. So, yeah.
And where can we get these books?
So I've only written one. So those actually, it looks like I've written three. I've only written one.
Option 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So they were choosing. It was the book reveal, and we've actually gone for book 2, the option number 2, and it'll be out in June. So pre-orders quite soon on all the usual places, and that's who I am and where I am. So yeah.
I've got a quick question. You talk about picking up litter.
Yeah.
Do you both do that? I know on a record attempt, I'm sure even on a record attempt, you're not going to just watch an old boot go by. You're going to pick it up.
No, but I mean, on Loch Orr, there's certain places I look, and it looks like there's no humans have ever stepped foot in there. But you might see, a packet of crisps still there, and it's amazing where you see the rubbish. I'm sure when I go across Europe, it's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, well, let's wish one day you won't have to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, have we got any questions out on the audience for our stand-up paddleboarders? Chris? So do you have combination of stances when you're doing a record attempt?
The only time I've ever kneeled down was when I was on Loch Corrib. There was 20 kilometre-hour winds in my face, and I just wasn't moving. So standing on the spot paddling would just kill me. So I just got there for 2 hours and just started paddling on the spot. And otherwise I'll be back at the start. But no, I'm always standing. Even when I did the River Thames, 44 hours stood, apart from the time I slept.
Yeah. Any other questions? Let's give that one to Joe. What's the weirdest thing you've pulled out of a canal?
Well, there's all
Please keep it clean.
It will. There's all the stuff, the revolting stuff, that, the cones, the children's toys, the trolleys. But one day I found some jewellery. So I didn't know whether the jewellery, and it was in a box, and I imagined this, it being given as a gift and then thrown in the canal as in fit of anger. So I just cleaned it all up, put it in a new box, and then gave it to charity, and hoped that somebody would make a little bit of money out of it. It wasn't like vintage, and I didn't think it had been stolen. So I just, so that was the weirdest thing, and I made up a great story in my head about it.
Now, you mentioned earlier about actually paddleboarding with others. How often do you sort of have an armada of SUPs heading down? Because I know I'm from Chichester Harbour, and often you look out, and on a ebb tide, you see everybody going out, and then at the end of the day, everyone comes back.
So when I started, I didn't know anybody, and I still very rarely see people where I paddle. But having paddled with other people for my book, I just know the joy of it. And for my podcast, I talk about that as well. So, so I have paddled with other people, and it is really lovely because then you have that experience. It's like, oh, do you remember when that dolphin? So I met someone here yesterday, and we were like, do you remember where we went the Great Orme in Wales, or on Llyn Tegid, Lake Bala, or when we paddled on River Dee at sunset? And paddling with other people is a good safety tip, particularly if they're a responsible paddler. Just paddleboarding with somebody who isn't responsible, not a good safety tip. But with someone responsible, and it's just double the joy. You have those memories. So, do you have people with you?
No, I mean, I tend to go out on my own, but when I was on the Thames...
I don't think I could keep up, mate.
At the Thames, I had people come and join me for little bits. But I do a lot of instructing down in the sandbanks where I live as well. So it's nice to get new people out on the water and get them to experience it and hopefully go away with some great memories.
Well, you've certainly made some memories, and congratulations to both of you for what you've done and also what you're about to do. Please follow these two online for your adventures, and I'm sure you'll be around afterwards to answer any questions. Thank you very much for coming along to BoatLife Live. Ladies and gentlemen, David and Joe. Thank you, Dave and Joe.